Last year, over 140,000 patients turned to Riverside for emergency care. Dr. Gary S. Kavit, Service Line Chief for Emergency Services and Medical Director for Riverside Regional Medical Center, has devoted decades of his life to ensuring that emergency department patients across our system receive the very best care. Our 2020 Provider of the Year, Dr. Kavit leads the Riverside Emergency Department not only in healing today, but in preparing for the future of healthcare.
We're very fortunate to have Dr. Kavit as an ambassador for Riverside.
And it was clear once Gary got here that his primary concern was for the care for the patients, the quality of care being delivered in the emergency room, and his second largest area of concern was for the health and safety and happiness of those people that he worked with in the emergency room.
To this day, I think his providers see him as a very strong leader.
He sets the example, and I've not encountered any situation where he would ask somebody to do something he wouldn't do himself or hasn't already done.
I don't think I've ever had a meeting with Gary when he wasn't at the end of a shift or at the beginning of a clinical shift, and so he's a leader that leads by example.
Our ERs are our front door, and he was so wonderfully focused on our team members safe. Do we have the right equipment? Do we have the right training? Are we prepared? And he was just an instrumental leader within our emergency room, and not just at Riverside Regional, but also helping our other emergency areas, our other hospitals.
I think Dr. Kavit's really engaged with the community in making this a better place. I truly believe we have the best emergency services in the region, and he's been a big part of that.
I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Kavit a few months into my time at Riverside, and it was because he wanted to personally support the construction and the building out of the Huntington Ingalls Industries Simulation Center. And when he approached me, he said, "This is important, and I know that this will save lives. It'll provide training for not only new physicians, but physicians like me who haven't done some of these rare skills in a long time."
Him being willing to commit personally to that and then help with his own ED physician providers, partners, to help them see the value of it was a great help in getting the simulation lab up and running.
People come into the ED not only hurting physically, but also emotionally and mentally. And he's very concerned about the resources that are available, the mental and health resources, to children and adults in the community.
His perspective was always, how can we do better? And he has continued to do that. And when I see him, I just want to hug him and thank him for all that he has done for the emergency room and for those patients who are coming in desperate and feeling so upset, and in a few minutes he has calmed them down.
No person has been more important in the quality of care that's been delivered at Riverside Regional Medical Center, and those same qualities spread throughout the health system too. And Gary is directly responsible for a large part of that.
As a wife and a mom, grateful to have him here in this community right down the street from where I live. You know, your biggest fear as a parent is that something will happen to your child. And the first stop, if something tragic happened in my family, would be at Riverside Regional Medical Center. It would be through the ED. And in Dr. Kavit's hands, I know that we have the highest level of proficiency and care and empathy. And just as somebody here in the community, that makes me feel safe. It gives me hope.
He's sacrificed a lot of time with family and friends, time off, but I think that he would say that it was all worth it in the end.